And we are live. Hey, 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 family. What's happening? What's happening? Welcome to another installment. Guess what? This is the first. Yeah, we were here like a couple weeks ago, right before Easter. But this is the first JMB Goal Getter Live for 2021. Can y'all believe it? Yeah, don't worry. We're a little bit late out the gate after the ringing in of the 2021 new year, but late but still great, right? Thank you so much for joining. If you're hopping on, please, you know how we like to do. We love to hear you. We love to see you. Drop a comment and let us know where you're seeing us from. Yeah, man, see my peeps coming up. Hey, Raquel, good night. Hey, Jan, good night. Good night. Welcome, everybody. We are going to have a fantastic live tonight. We're going to be breaking it all the way down. Who are the money-minded people looking to achieve some financial goals up in here? 2021 is, yeah, we're like 3-4 months into the new year, but enough time left to do what we gotta do to achieve them goals. Loving my people coming on. Eugenia, brilliant. Andrew, yes, Raquel from Kingston, thank you so much for joining. Hey, April, we're in your month, girl. Just saying. Shanique, what's happening? Anisha, love it, love it, love it. Shanice, Pat, Cassandra, yeah, man, tell us where you're watching from. We're always an international live, right? Not only are we're broadcasting live from Jamaica. But guess I'm just trying to get a little liquid here, folks. Sorry. We had a false start with the liquid breaker. You know, when you do all this chatting for like an hour and a half or so, throat get a little dry. So I'm drinking some soda. I know that's not a good thing. I know I should be drinking water or some healthy juice, but this is the quickest thing we could grab. So yes. So right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. So so back to it. Yes, tell us where you're watching us from, right? Yeah, man, Abigail from St. Catherine, Anisha in Canada. What up, what up? Nasha Lee from Queens, New York. So we have Westmoreland, we have Trinidad in the house. Trinidad, all you're still locked down with borders closed and everything. We miss you. So just today I said I miss having doubles. I miss Palori. I miss Bacon Shack. Oh my goodness, come. We need to get rid of this COVID thing quick o'clock. Portland, St. Elizabeth. Yes, Ricardo, good night. Yes, Andrew. Yeah, man, don't worry. We're going to try and meet those expectations. We have one of our top experts in stocks who's going to be live with us tonight. And we're going to tell you how the format is a little bit different. It's going to be fantabulous because we're going to turn up the interactivity. We're going to turn up the engagement. Get your questions ready because that's how we're going to do it tonight. Yes, Collier from St. James. Love it. Man, we can't keep up with them on the busy. So here the thing now, guys. Remember, call in the people them. Call your family and your friends. Anybody who wants to know about stocks. We're breaking it down. ABC 1, 2, 3 from what is a stock. That's where we're starting from tonight. And we're going to not only give you some basics. It's going to be a nice Q&A between myself and our awesome guest tonight. But most of what we're going to be doing tonight, guys, is opening up the questions to you. We want you to drop the questions in the comments because we know that is not everybody have an opportunity to sit down and talk to a stock market expert, all right, or an investment advisor expert who can really give the goods. We know not everybody have that opportunity, right? Even me, sometimes I still have to run them down and find them just to get some questions in, right? It is what it is. So here we're giving you the opportunity. We're not just going to be talking heads tonight on a screen. We want to get the questions so we can answer the questions. So the first 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, I have some basic questions here ready for Greg. I'm going to introduce you to him in a minute, and then he's going to answer. And then we're going to open up the floor for what is easily going to be a 45-minute Q&A with you, our awesome audience. So yes, guys, this is going to be fantastic. I'm loving it. Yes, see another Kerry here. Hey, Kerry, my namesake, Kerry Blair from St. Catherine on Facebook. Hey, Lorna. What's up, St. Anne, my St. Anne peeps? Yeah, man. Benton family coming out of St. Anne origin. Love it. Irish Town, nice and cool up there. Yes, Shanique, we are excited and ready. Barbican in the house. Hey, Donette, love it, love it, love it. Houston, Texas. Oh, man, we're not going with, man. We love it, man. We love it. So let's jump right into it. I think we've warmed up. Hey, Gary, we love you too. We've warmed up and we're ready to roll. So let me just introduce you to our awesome guest. He's a busy man, make I tell you. He's by day, he is and or senior general man. Listen to me, I'm not even going to get the long title mixed up tonight. So I'm going to ask him to say it straight when he comes on. But he's a busy man by day, doing the trading and overseeing the trading team and ting with the whole equities thing. And at the other part of the day at night, we just are backstage a while ago. He's a husband. He's a dad of a little baby and a toddler. So, it's enough pampers are buy and change and things. So he's a very busy guy, but never too busy to join us and give some awesome information to you guys. And tonight, we're talking about stocks. That's all we're talking about, peeps. Stocks from the A to the Z. So if you want to know about stocks, you don't know about the stocks thing, this is where we want you to start. Yes, Damian in the house, Tashoya from Montego Bay. Yeah, man, tell us where you're coming from. And guys, again, get your questions ready. So we're going to start off 20 to 30 minutes. I have some Q&A with Greg. I have some questions here. We're going to kick off. Then we want you to drop the questions in the comments because we're going to get to as many questions. So we're doing interactive tonight, people. Interactive. It's your live, your questions, your way. This ain't Burger King, but it's your way. We're doing it just like that tonight. From the UK, Maurice, love me tell you something international. So let's bring up Greg. Uncle Greg, what's going on?
What's up, Kerry? I am here. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. I almost see the sleep in your eye because I know it is when you have young baby, sleep is a premium.
Well, it's a blessing still,
Awesome blessing. Awesome blessing. And we just push through because it's for a season, right? And then as we say,
long season, but a season.
Yes, a season nonetheless.
A long season, but a season. So we just embrace it.
Absolutely. So yes, big up, yes, I say Florida, Spanish Town, Ocho Rios. Yes, Greg, we have a awesome contingent tonight. So Greg, tell us your official title at JMB and quickly what you do for us, please.
Well, I am the Assistant General Manager for Treasury and Trade. So my responsibility is really to oversee the equities side of the proprietary portfolio. I also support a team leader in terms of managing the overall treasury function of JMB Jamaica. So, anything to do with money moving, investments, trading, making trading gains, ensuring clients get their money when they want it. That is a part of the trading and treasury portfolio. So equities is really just a part of it,
Yeah.
It's the part that I have come to embrace and that they have entrusted me with. So I'm appreciative for the trust that has been placed in me for this portfolio.
Absolutely. And you've been, how many years you've been with JMB?
I don't want to age myself, but I've been here basically since I came out of school. So I've been with the group throughout all phases, most phases at least. I've seen us expand into DR, Trinidad. I've been a part of that.
Wow.
It's been a good journey.
Awesome. So that means you joined when maybe you finished CXC at around 15 and then you've now been there ever since.
Right? I joined at a very tender age. I won't age myself, but I've seen a lot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. So we just got to know each other. We see more people coming on. Yes, Andrea, tag Nicoy and tell him to find his butt here. Yes, people, call WhatsApp, everything. Tell your people them to come because we're talking stocks tonight. So Greg, we're going to kick off 20 to 30 minutes. I have some basic questions for you, which I sent you last night. And then now we're going to open up the floor to our viewers to ask the question. So Greg, first thing, we're going to break it down. What is this thing called a stock? It's either a stock, some people call it equity.
Equity, shares.
But tell us, what is a stock, please?
this is an interesting question, because I'm going to try and answer it as simple as possible and maybe give an analogy. So don't blame me if the analogy don't work out. But so stock, otherwise known as equity, it's a financial security that represents the ownership of a fraction of a company, right? So ownership of stock entitles you to certain legal rights in a company, such as dividends, the right to vote on who is appointed to the board, and decisions that the board may ask approval for from time to time. So in short, stock represents ownership in a company, and how the units of stock are called shares. So think of a bread pudding. My neighbor gave me some nice bread
My
pudding.
favorite pudding.
So you have a bread pudding, and that bread pudding is a business, right? You cut up the bread pudding into different pieces, not necessarily equal. Each piece of that bread pudding represents your ownership of the pie. We're not eating the bread pudding, but the bread pudding can give you some nice economic benefits, right? It can actually increase in size. It can actually give you money in the form of dividends, right? But if you don't have a piece of that bread pudding, you can't enjoy it. So
All
that's pretty
right.
much what stock is, or how I see it.
Wonderful. And I love the analogy. So basically, I can own shares in a company. And that's really what it's all about when we talk about what is a stock, right? You mentioned dividends, because I think the question is, how do I make money from a stock, or money from my shares? I mean, may get an interest rate and I get it at the end of every 30 days, or what? How I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, not
so there's
everybody
a
knows this, right, guys? Yeah.
all right. So in this instance, we're talking about stocks that are traded publicly, right? Stocks really represent ownership in a publicly listed companies, which is it's different, a little bit different for private companies, but stocks are traded on the stock market, and the stock market is just like the market where you go to buy food. Is a place where you can buy and sell products, or in this case, companies. The value of that stock is dependent on how many persons are buying compared to how many persons are selling. It is as simple as that. It is a marketplace where you always have buyers and sellers. If there are more buyers, price goes up. If there's more sellers than buyers, the price may fall. Now, what happens with dividends? That is just one way to make money on a stock. The reason why I spoke about the market first is because you have the potential for capital appreciation, which means you buy the stock today, tomorrow it's much nicer than it was today, right? And the price of it goes up. You can now sell that stock and make some capital gains. And in the next breath, you have the dividends, which I mentioned, which is really when these companies that you buy do well and make profits, they can choose to distribute these profits to its shareholders in the form of dividends. So that is what dividend payments are. There are other benefits to stocks too. I mean, outside of capital appreciation and dividends, these are assets. So if you need to take a loan, you need some money to do some other form of investing, because we're not taking money to go buy buy consumer products. We want to invest, right? It's collateral for that too. So that's another benefit of how indirectly you can make money with stocks.
I love that. I love that. So again, guys, we're breaking it down for you, right? Because so basically, I go on the stock market, the Jamaica Stock Exchange in our local instance, and I can, through a broker, I can buy shares in a company, right? And I buy it at a particular price, right, on any given day. And the price, again, depending on how many buyers and sellers will
Right.
move every day,
It will move.
throughout the day.
It doesn't
And
just go up, it can go
it,
down too, right?
yeah, it can go down. So
Yes,
I could buy it for $2 today. Tomorrow it could go up to 5. And if I choose to sell it at 5, I would have made $3 on each share, so to speak. If that's a, but I could have bought it today at 2, and tomorrow it gone down to $1. And if I
yeah,
choose to sell it at $1, then I would have lost money, obviously, because I would have bought it at $2 and sold it at $1. But as you
that's right.
also said, there, so that's one way to make money, by buying low, selling at a price that's higher than what you bought it. But sometimes companies want to share up some of their profits to the shareholders, and you would earn, say, maybe a few cents for each share that you own, and that is payable in dividends when a company chooses. So that's another way. Some of us who get our dividend checks know that very well. And as you say, stocks are assets, and you can use it as collateral in some instances for loans and so on, that you can use to
Right.
do other things with. So that's awesome. And so even there's a great question here from Gerangelo. I'm sure that's Jermaine or
Yeah.
Jerome and Angela put together, asking a question about, APO for JMMB. So the thing is, you have shares in JMMB. If you want to buy more ordinary shares in JMMB,
Yes.
you go straight through your broker and buy JMMB shares on the
Right.
JSC from somebody else
And
who's selling.
just to add to that, I mean, if you want to buy JMB shares, it's at a price on the market now lower than the APO. So you can always add to your JMB holdings by buying shares on the market.
Exactly, because you want to get those bargains, as it were, getting those awesome prices for the shares now while the price is good. And then, of course, like everything up and down, JMB is a great investment, not a shameless plug. But when things turn, and the price turns up in another direction, then you could, as you say, if you decide to sell, you're making money. So,
Right.
Greg, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. The next question is, and I just want to make sure that I'm not missing out on anything. What's the difference? Because there are different types of shares. There's ordinary shares and there's
Yes.
preference shares. Because JMB just did a preference share thing the other day. Lots of
Right.
companies have preference shares, which is different from ordinary shares. What's the difference?
All right. So ordinary shares are common shares, as they're also known as. That represents your basic ownership in the company. It gives you certain legal rights as it comes to getting dividends that are declared by the board of directors from time to time. It also gives you a right to vote on certain company matters at the annual general meeting. So you kind of have a voice in terms of when you have ordinary shares. Preferential shares now are a little bit different because they don't necessarily carry the right to vote, although I have seen preference shares that do that, but in most cases, they do not carry that right. What they will carry is a feature to pay, say, a fixed dividend or a set dividend over a period of time. So whereas when we speak of dividends, it's important to be clear that not all stocks pay dividends on its ordinary shares, right? It is declared at there may be a dividend policy that guides what the board will declare, but they don't, it's not an obligation necessarily. But with preference shares, usually these shares carry a feature where the company is obligated to actually pay a set dividend over a period of time. It may vary, the features may vary, but it gives you that kind of certainty over ordinary shares. Now, the thing with preference shares, it's more based on the dividend that you get, not necessarily the company doing well and the stock value increasing. So you won't necessarily see a preferential share have price movement like ordinary shares. Because the ordinary shares is really what you own in the company, showing what the company is doing, the operations, and taking part in those profits. Preferential shares are a little bit different. Let's say you own preference shares in a company, and Lord forbid the company is going to be liquidated. Well, if they liquidate the company, there are a few persons that are paid from the proceeds, right? You clear your expenses, you pay your debt, then you pay your preference shares, then your ordinary shareholders are last, right? So preference shares do not necessarily carry as much risk as an ordinary share. Hence, you stand to benefit more really in owning in ordinary shares. But yet still preference shares give some persons the certainty of they're gonna get a set dividend over a period of time. So it's a little bit different in terms of how it's structured.
That's a great
I hope that
example.
wasn't too much.
No, don't worry about it. And as I say, I'm here to help with the translation where it's unclear, because I'm just a regular person. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. So, and I mean, guys, again, we're loving the questions, we're loving the engagement, because this is great to know the difference between ordinary shares and preference shares. Because again, we just did pref the other day, and preference shares are for a different kind of investor. As you say,
Correct.
you
Correct.
know, there's a predictability of, well, certainly in the one that JMB just did it, but there's a predictability where you're getting X percentage return going to be paid to you
Yes.
every
Yes.
so
Yes.
often based on what was in the
Mhm.
prospectus. And some people prefer that. Like I know some older
Yeah.
investors who can't take on as much risk because they're already retired, and you know them have to watch the little pennies. So they probably would prefer greater certainty that comes from preference shares, as opposed to ordinary shareholders that look them can deal with the ebb and flows over the long term of how the price will move. But again, as you said, there is cost and benefit to everything. So again, it's about
Correct.
doing what's right for you. Love it.
Correct.
And then there's a question here from Andrew. We're gonna get to that because Andrew wants to know how can he trade stocks, and we're gonna get to that. And guys, even though we're live now, this is being recorded, right? So
Mhm.
you can feel free to go back and rewatch just in case you missed anything. And still tell your people to join, because we're gonna be here for another hour, and in another 15 minutes we're gonna be opening up the questions, so you can start dropping your questions in the comments. So Greg,
Mhm.
we spoke about, obviously, you know, you have different types of shares, and so on. Who can invest in stocks? You know, who are the people that can invest in stocks? If I'm watching this and thinking, boy, is it for me? Who can invest in stocks really?
Well, anybody really can invest in stocks. Once you're able to legally own and operate a brokerage account, you can invest in stocks. Whether it is or it is not for you, it really depends on your personality and your risk tolerance and what you are comfortable in terms of investing your funds with. But it's accessible. I mean, it's even more accessible now than it has been ever, in my opinion, because so many persons are now getting involved in the stock market, from teenagers, from young the millennials. So it's really for anybody that has the interest as well as the risk appetite to invest in the stock market. Because remember, it is a risk.
Yeah.
So you have to determine firstly, personally, is stocks the right thing for me? But anybody, once you can legally open an account and operate it, you can invest in the stock market.
Yeah. So any regular everyday Jamaican,
Yeah.
or non-Jamaican for that matter, can invest
Yeah.
in stocks, right? And so how do I
Yeah.
do that? How do I kind of just go down to the stock exchange and ring the doorbell?
Yeah.
How do I
Well,
get started?
that may have obtained in years past before my time, but no, it's as simple as just choosing a broker. You have a
Mm.
few brokerage houses out there. Everybody more or less offers brokerage type products. So it's just for you to look at what products are available and find a broker that fits your needs. So if things like online access is what you prefer, if you want certain kinds of research, if you want like real time trading, which is a big thing now. Everybody wants to trade real time. There are brokers out there that offer those products. So it's more finding that broker that you're comfortable with, that the fees are in line with what you're willing to pay or what you can afford, and then opening a relationship with that broker. Opening a brokerage account, having a conversation with your advisor, seeing if it really is the right thing for you. I mean, if you're convicted already, then just go and open an account. But if you need a little bit more information, you want to be walked through, then I mean you have brokers that are financial advisors that can assist you and guide you to help you determine, boy, is stocks really the right thing for me? It's
Mhm.
important you understand what it is and the risks that are at stake before you run into this thing. Because
Yeah.
it can work out, it may not for some people. So it's important you know and make that decision for yourself.
Right. And I mean, just to jump back real quick, because I see Rashida asking the question that I actually had in mind before we complete the discussion about brokers and how to get a broker. When we talk about the risk of investing in stocks, just so that we're clear, what do you mean by investing in stocks can be risky?
Well, going back to what you said earlier, the price stocks trade on a market, and the market price can change. So not because you buy a stock at $10 means it's gonna stay at $10. It could go
Or
to
even go higher than 10.
$100, or it could go to $1. That all depends on what the company is doing. It depends on what's happening in the market. Depends on a lot of different things. We're just coming out of well, we're still in COVID, but COVID would have caused a significant contraction in the market last year. So maybe for the average person investing, they may have seen the value of their portfolio fall. So when we talk about the risks, those are really the risks that you have to keep aware of.
Yeah. So really, guys, the bottom line is when we're talking about buying stocks, ordinary shares on on any stock exchange, you're
Mhm.
talking about you're buying it at a price. There is no guaranteed interest rate that's going to be paid out to you like some other different types of investments. You're buying something at a price, and the price will likely move. It can move up, where you can sell higher than what you bought it, make money and celebrate, or it could move down, and it could move down for a long period of time, and you may not even be in a position to sell it. Or some people unfortunately have to sell it because they need the cash, but they would have been selling it at a loss because they couldn't wait for the price to go back up. And so that's what we say when we talk about risk, guys. I'm translating for you, right? That's what we mean about
Yeah,
risk, because
I
not everybody have the stomach for that sort of thing. Watch the price and move, and you don't know when it will go back up and thing.
yeah, I had a personal story around that, because when I just started working, I said, what's up with this stock thing, and working for a financial institution, I'm like, all right, I need to have a stock account. The market was way different back then, and little money together, start buying stocks. And Jamaica was in a different place at that time, right? We had 25% interest rate, and the confidence wasn't there. And basically, the portfolio just fell down. And, I kept some of it, and I said, boy, at some point, I learned about bond trading, which is another area that I do. And I said, you know what, can't bother this right now. So, I switched into something else. So I went through it. I know that, look, this thing don't must just go up. I mean, granted, times are different now, but even with COVID, it's a reminder that, hey, look, things can change. Things don't, things can happen, and you have to be able to manage that. You have to be able to accept that risk if you're going to be investing, because things can change. And it's not, although we like to talk about people like to talk about, oh, they make money. Sometimes people lose money, and you probably won't hear about it as much as when people say they make money.
That is a thing. That is a thing. And so, guys, just to be clear, because I'm trying, guys, I'm loving the questions. I love it. I love it. We're gonna be getting to it. Kenny Paul, I think, says, Kenny from Facebook says, I'm a low risk person and want to know investing in stock. So that's the thing. If you're a low risk person and you don't have the stomach to go in and buy a stock at a price and risk that the price will go down and will probably stay down for a while, and you can't leave the money in there, you have to kind of get it out and may risk having to sell it lower than what you bought it, then maybe stocks is not for you.
Well,
Just be honest with yourself.
you
What
know what
can you stomach?
what I would say to Kenny Poe is, you may say you have a low risk tolerance, but investing in stock, you can manage the risk. It may take a little bit of time on your part to learn about it. It may take a little bit of time to get comfortable with it. But ultimately, I don't think if you're low risk, you should avoid investing in the stock market, right? The stock market is a very powerful tool to create wealth. So not because you hear the word risk means you should think of it as a curse word. I mean, there is risk in almost every investment, right? Even if you put your money in the bank, there's a very improbable risk you may not get it back, but there's a risk. So before you run from it, just take some time to learn it. It's not rocket science, and you can may do well, especially if you're a long-term investor. I mean, you have persons that have just bought stock, not really paid it attention. It may have gone up and gone down, but over the long term, the value of it goes up or it trends up if you buy the right companies. And that is where just taking some time to learn about it, as well as engaging your financial advisor, they can build a portfolio for you that you can look back on in a few years' time and say, boy, this was a good decision. So not because we see a risk means that you should avoid it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a very balanced view. Because I know, like, even again, for personal experience, I wouldn't say I'm a risk taker, but if I know I have money to invest, and I know, again, the stock market is a powerful tool to create wealth, and I don't really need this money right now, or I don't need it for the next few years, I put it on stocks, and I make sure choose a stock that not going to give me a heart attack. You have different types of companies and so on based on the industry that they're in, but I put it down and I forget about it and I leave it there for years. And it's when you go back 3, 5, y'all 10 years later, like, whoa, that was
Well,
great.
I mean,
Sometimes.
I wouldn't encourage persons to just leave it. You have
Well,
to
leave
follow
it,
the
meaning,
investments,
yeah.
right? You have to,
Hmm.
but still, you don't have to. The point I'm trying to make is, if the market fluctuates, sometimes it's a short term thing, and you don't want to necessarily make rash decisions. So you want to
Right.
be comfortable enough with investing in stocks that if there's an adjustment in the market, you're able to see beyond that.
Right.
Because I know a lot of persons, when they say, okay, the value of my portfolio is down, I can't manage, I can't sleep at night.
Panic, panic.
If that's you, then I mean, you need to look at how you allocate your portfolio. But it shouldn't be a situation where those things, once you get more comfortable with understanding the stock market, then I mean, those things are really less of a concern, because the end goal will be better down the road.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Guys, hello. We are dropping tonight, don't? We are dropping the nuggets tonight, and I'm loving the engagement. So, there are a lot of questions, Greg, and I know this next question is going to just cover it. So, we spoke about how do I do this. So, we said we're not going to go to the stock exchange building downtown and ring the bell and ring the doorbell to
Well, you
buy a
could do
stock.
that if you want. I mean, they'll let you in down
Yes.
there.
Yeah, they certainly
Yeah.
will. Marlene Street Forest and her team are
Marlene loves
awesome.
when investors come, so
Of
she's going to
course.
welcome.
I mean, Marlene and her team are awesome. But I mean, we did start out by saying that, a broker is a nice, easy way to get it done. Yes, there are several brokers that are licensed to trade on behalf of clients on the stock exchange, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and JMMB is one of them. Yes. So
Yes.
how do I get started, Greg? I think that's a big question. How do I get started
All right. So, getting started in terms of, you have to have a brokerage account, right? So that's
with
first step
JMMB?
one.
Mm-hmm.
Open
Mm-hmm.
your brokerage account. Then you're going to now look at, all right, assuming you've gone through the discussion and you're comfortable within yourself to invest, you're going to start looking at the companies on the market. You're going to say, all right, what companies, maybe you start with the ones you know. So like a Grace Kennedy, everybody's supposed to know Grace Kennedy, right? You may start with a NCB, that's the largest bank in the country. You may start with a Carreras, that's another long-standing company on the market. And from looking at those companies, then you need to now make an assessment. Are these good investments for me? How are the companies performing? I'll go back to what I said earlier. I wouldn't advise to just start without first seeking the knowledge of how you're going to assess companies. So there are certain things I think that you need to have or be comfortable with if you're going to be making investments in individual stocks. First thing,
Can I, sorry, Greg, I'm so sorry to interrupt you
yeah,
because I feel like we're changing gears a little bit and I want to stick with just clarifying that initial how in the sense
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
because I see the questions coming in. So we're saying, okay, you can go through a broker, right?
Right, right,
Yes,
right, right,
there are several JMMBs, one.
right.
In terms of how much money you need to start, starting amounts to open your brokerage account will
That
vary
varies from
from
broker
broker
to
and
broker.
broker to broker. Some
Mm-hmm.
broker you need 500 grand. Some brokers you need 250 grand. JMMB, I think you really only need like 1,000 grand. So most people say 1,000 grand. Yeah, $1,000
Now, 1,000 grand is a lot
Jamaican.
of money you
A
carried.
lot of
We're not
money. That's
that
like
steep. We're not that steep.
six zeros. Yeah. So $1,000, right? Jamaican, right? Or 10. I mean, most people start with like 10,000 Jamaican, but you can
Mhm.
open the account with as little as $1,000. And of course,
Right.
depending on which stock you want to buy and how much you want to buy, how many shares you want to buy, and how much the shares cost, you just have to put enough money in your brokerage account to make the purchase. That's what it really is. So the account is really
Yeah.
just for you to facilitate that buying and selling process.
Right.
You get
Right.
your brokerage account. We call it the equity money market account at JMB, or the EMMA. I saw somebody here talking, Rashida, saying the EMMA account. So the EMMA account, the equity
Mhm.
money market, that's what JMB calls our stock brokerage account. You open your EMMA account with as little as 1,000 J.
Right.
We have US dollar EMMA if you want to buy US
Yeah.
dollar
If you want
stocks
to
on the
buy
Jamaica
US
Stock
local
Exchange,
stocks,
right?
yeah.
On the
We're
on the
talking
local
US
exchange,
dollar locally listed
local
stocks,
stocks, right?
not on the
Not
overseas
foreign.
market.
We soon
Right.
get to that, right?
We'll
We
have a
soon get to
product for
that.
that. So that
Yeah,
coming.
because there's a question. There's a question there on that. So we
Yes.
soon get to that. But once you have that account, you just put money in it anytime you want to buy stocks. Make sure there's enough money in that brokerage account
Yes.
to cover the purchase. And how you do it, guys, it is all online. It's all online through JMMB's online transaction platform that we call JMMB
Mhm.
Moneyline. And
Mhm.
it is awesome. And I mean, yeah, I work here, yeah, JMB pay my salary, but just go on Twitter as if Phil in the house, Phil can testify. JMB
Yes.
Moneyline
Yes. Yes.
is
Yes.
awesome. I mean, what
Big
you
up
get
Philip.
on it. Yeah, you have to big up Philip, and he's bigging up Greg too. Say all the pros, them are big
Big
up
up
them one
Philip.
another. So
Yeah.
what do I see on Moneyline when I'm doing my trading, Greg? I mean, what are some of the
Yeah.
features that I can see?
Right. So Moneyline, we really spend some time to bring it up to a standard that we think the nowadays real time trader that wants the information to have, and it's a constant working process. So it's by no means the end all, and we have more to come. But you can see you can see the markets, the live markets. You can see the buys, you can see the bids, you can see the offers. Those are the persons that are buying and selling. Remember, I tell you about market and buyers more than sellers. So you can actually see that information. You can actually see a summary of the market's trading for the day, which is, you can see basically the statistics for every stock, the amount that trade, the price movement, the top bid, the top ask. It has really come a far way in terms of giving our investors direct access. Um, and it's something that we're going to be continuing to build out and add functionality as time goes on. So I think it's at a good place now, but nonetheless, we're not stopping with it there. We're going to build it out even further.
Absolutely. We love that. So, yes, guys, so you don't need to leave your yard. You don't need to come into a branch every time and fill out a
Fill out a
form.
form, send a
We
fax.
know in
Yeah,
that.
I
So,
used to get people sending in fax for me to buy stuff for them back in my older days. The other day I found out that we don't even take fax anymore. So
mm-mm,
yes, it's
mm-mm.
really come a far away, right?
Yeah, man, and everything is there. You can look and see the price movements, etc. And even on the JMB website, we're gonna get to that. You can even
Yes.
get your research reports if you want information on the different publicly listed companies who are listed on the stock exchange to get to know them better and how they're doing. I mean,
Mhm.
awesome stuff. So all online. So yeah, you open your brokerage account, JMB Emma, with as little as 1,000 grand. Make sure you put enough money in it whenever you need to buy stocks, and then it's all done online. And somebody asked about the cost. No, the account doesn't attract a management fee or anything. It's just that every time you trade, though, right, Greg?
Yes, there are some fees.
Mm-hmm.
There's a brokerage commission, which if you trade on Moneyline, it's just 0.50%, right? There's a J,
0.50% of the value
yes, of the value of the trade,
of that
the value
particular
of the
trade
trade,
you're doing.
right? And when we think about where rates are coming from, rates used to be 2%. So the cost of trading has come down significantly. There's also some JC fees that you have to pay, and then some GCT on that. So all in all, fees work out to less than 1% on the value of the trade, including your commission and your brokerage fees. I mean, your brokerage fees and your JC fees, which are mandatory. And maybe, who knows, maybe it'll go lower. We'll see. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. So you're really only paying a fee every time you're
You're
trading.
trading. So
Right.
there are no fees. Of course, if you want to do certain transactions, there may be some nominal fees like a dividend mandate that pretty much the JCSD may charge. But certainly from our end, we have a no nuisance fee policy. So you don't have to, you don't expect for us. We're not just going to be charging you fees on the fly. Our
Yeah.
basic brokerage commission is pretty much what you pay to trade, which is 0.5%.
Exactly. So you're really paying the broker and certainly the exchange a small percentage of the value of your trade, but otherwise it's not like it's an account where fees are come out every month and you don't know where to go. It's only when you're trading. Because that's a
Yeah.
concern.
We're
It's a
limited on the
concern.
service charge, right?
Yeah, yeah. Let's just keep it real where JMB best interest at all. We got you covered, guys. So yeah, so that's how simple it is just to get started. So I think we've covered the question. If you live overseas, you can also open an EMA to trade on the Jamaica Stock Exchange as well. So
Right,
that's not a
right.
problem.
Yes,
So
yes.
feel free to do that. We saw that question. So Greg, to go back because I'm so sorry we had interrupted you because now you started to go into how me know which stock to buy, right? Because that's
Right,
another big
right.
question, right, Aisha? Which when to buy, what to buy, when to sell, and you were kind of going in that direction. So may I ask you to continue?
Sure. And I mean, this is a topic that we could spend a significant amount of time on. So I'm going to try to be as concise and impactful as I can. But the first thing is, before you know which stocks to buy, you need to know how to assess a stock, which is basically, can you read a financial statement? Do you know what an income statement is? Do you know what a balance sheet is? Do you know what a cash flow statement is? And don't be intimidated. I mean, we all have to learn at some point, especially if this is your investment. If it's your investment, you have to take it seriously. There's a number of resources online that you can tap to learn this information. With that being said, once you arm yourself with that knowledge how to make financial or assess a financial statement, then you can move into, all right, what stocks do I know? It doesn't have to be trying to find a needle in a haystack. There are some stocks that you may very well know that you use their products every single day. Lasco distributors, Lasco manufacturing, Grace, those are some companies that people use regularly. So you start to look there. It's not as simple as just buying a stock because you use their products. You have to use that knowledge you would have attained in terms of how to analyze statements to understand, is this company doing well? Are they growing revenues? Are they growing profits? Do they pay a dividend? Because we spent so much time talking about dividends earlier. These are some indicators that I would tend to look at if I'm going to make a decision to buy a company. Certainly, if a company is losing money or making losses, if there's not a justifiable reason for them to say, all right, well, this is why I'm losing money, it may not necessarily be on the list that I would want to buy. So you want to ensure that the stock market is about growth. So the companies that you choose should have a certain growth trajectory. It may not always be pretty, but the overall trajectory must be, as you want to buy into companies that are growing. And how you're able to ascertain if a company is growing or not is it the ability for you to read and understand a financial statement. Simple things, I would say. Is the company making more money every year? Is it making more profit every year? How much dividends are they paying, or how much out of their profits are they paying as dividends? It's not just about the capital appreciation, even more so in last year with COVID and the market being down. It was dividends that would have carried a lot of investors through. So some of the companies that pay dividends fared pretty well. So that is kind of where I would start. I mean, there's a lot of other things you can look for, because what I'm really speaking to now is fundamental analysis. which is looking at the numbers for a company. If you find that boy, you're a little bit more comfortable with that and you're proficient and you watch the market, then you can move to more the technical side or use technical analysis to know which stocks to buy. This is now where you're, instead of focusing primarily on the numbers, you're looking at where's the stock trading price wise relative to its historical trend. If I know that there's a period of time where a stock is going to go to a certain price and it's trading below that, I can buy it at a low price and sell it at the high price. If it's a matter of me trusting my ability as a technical analyst to do that. But those are just two primary ways you can know which stocks to buy. But it does take some level of understanding, spending time to know how the market works, how to look at a financial statement, and knowing technical analysis. But you have a broker as well. Your broker is able to guide you. We're able to provide you with literature that you can read to understand how this works and to just have a general conversation. But it goes back to the personal responsibility that if you're going to invest in the stock market, you kind of owe it to yourself to deepen your knowledge base, and it makes the experience a lot better. So that this time when you're prepared, you can know, say, boy, I know the market is going through a rough time, but based on my homework, I know this should change over time, and it makes holding stocks a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I love that. Well, first of all, I just want to take a quick pause because there are a couple questions coming in. First of all, guys, thanks for joining us here tonight. More people are coming on. We love more people. Yes, tell your friend and family and colleague and everybody so they need to come here and learn about stocks because we're taking the questions live right now with Greg. But even though it's live, guys, we are recording this. It's gonna be uploaded. You can catch it on our YouTube channel on demand to watch and rewatch whenever you're ready, or share the link with somebody who couldn't be here with us right now. It's not a problem if you missed anything. You can go back because we've been on now for about over 45 minutes and we still have more to come. That's the first thing. The second thing, I'm going to ask our production team just to drop a link, hyperlink in the comment sections, just to say, let you guys know where on our website you can go to get information about how to open your JMMB, EMA, or brokerage account.
Yeah,
Again, if you want to trade on the Jamaica Stock Exchange with JMMB as your broker, wherever in the world you live, there is a way to open that account. Of course, the requirements of what documentation you have to submit and all of that, because we have to keep compliant with the regulators, is going
right.
to be there. But we're going to drop the link in the comments so you can pick up that information. And yes, whether you're in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Barbados, or the North American first world, UK, wherever, China,
Mhm.
please, if you want to trade on the Jamaica Stock Exchange with JMMB as your broker, you can follow that link, and get the information and reach out to us. Now, to go back now to what Greg just shared, because I think it was awesome, Greg, because the first thing to remember, guys, is that I think the fact that everybody who is on this live now or even watching the replay, you're doing the right thing. First of all, is you're educating yourself, and certainly that's what you're advocating, is that you need to educate yourself. You need to invest the time and the effort
Yes,
to get the information, know how to read a financial statement, and you want to
right,
look at companies that are growing, because I think that's the thing. A lot of people just rely on hype, or
right,
them just say, all right,
right.
Greg, what I must buy, just tell me which stock to buy, and then I go on
You
money
know,
line.
I'll just add, this is important, or it's important for me, right? I mean, we are brokers, but it's a much better experience when you know what you want or know what you're talking about, and then you have a conversation with your broker. I think you get a lot more out of it than just depending on what your broker says. So not because Greg says it means it's the gospel, right? I mean, you get more out of the experience when you have the knowledge for yourself, and then know you can take what I say and apply it. So I would encourage anybody. It's not it's not a, oh, what is the best thing to buy now, and it's not a like you're picking a number, right? It's a lot more technical or not, but the only way you will reap the full benefits of investing in equities is you have to have some level of knowledge for yourself, right? And it's an investment in yourself. You're gonna make money out of this. So, if it means that you take a class, if it means that you read up some stuff, spend some hours reading up some stuff to understand how it works, it will pay you back. I'm pretty sure it has paid me back many times over. So it will pay you back.
Yes, Greg. I love that. So it's gonna be worth your time and energy to make sure that you invest in yourself, in learning, in growing, and in getting the information that you need. Just acknowledging, guys, we're seeing the questions coming in. Yeah, we take the feedback. Thanks, ZDB, about putting the link in the description box. We'll definitely work on doing that. People asking about account opening requirements. Thanks, David. Just to be clear, guys, we are a regulated financial institution that, and like all brokers, we have to adhere to what the regulators say we need to ask as documentation. And then now, when we're dealing with overseas investors, international governments like the US government in particular have implemented things like FATCA, which they tell us what we need to provide, what clients who want to do business with us need to provide. So, guys, we don't sit down in a room and say, how can we stress out our customers today? Let's just be clear, guys. We have to comply with the regulators because that is what keeps us compliant with our license. That's really the bottom line. So we really appreciate the
Yes,
feedback
yes.
and the questions. This is awesome. Britannia, I don't know which brokers you're saying that are not honest, but it ain't JMB, madam. Please.
Well,
I
well,
don't
look,
know.
the thing is, the more you know, they can't be dishonest with you. So that's the catch 22, right? The more you know, nobody can take you simple. So that's
Yeah.
why it goes back to what I was saying. Investing, getting the knowledge, it will pay off.
Exactly, exactly. And Dion, thanks for joining. That's the question Greg just answered. Some of the things to look for about choosing the right stocks for you, and again, looking at the financial statements, which companies seem to be growing. Just to jump a little bit further into that, Greg, because that's great general
Mhm.
advice. Looking at the financial statements of the companies and who are growing, who making more money year over year. So that's a good thing. We are in COVID right now, right? And I think a
Right.
lot of discussion has been taking place around, well, based on the climate that we're in with COVID, we,
Mm-hmm.
we, we, we think we're seeing the back of COVID, but I'm always cautious because, again, this vaccine is not a cure and it is
Yes,
a not
yes,
100% preventative. So
yeah.
we still have to mask up and we're still taking it easy and watching the ride. So we're in this
Right.
COVID period now, and arguably, you could say that some companies will have fared differently to others, and some may
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
more longer term trajectory of success. Again, pending how we come out of the pandemic.
Right.
What industries do you think people should be considering based on different scenarios at this time? I think that's a really interesting question.
Mhm. Manufacturing and distribution. That
Ah,
is a sector that, if you think about it, COVID may have slowed down certain things, right? In terms of, financial companies, all right, they may have loans now that may have to renegotiate, they may have to take some provisions, which may have impacted their results. But if you think about it, people still need to eat, people still need to buy goods for the necessities of life, which the Prime Minister gives us time for to do, right? So you start there, right? Those are their companies, I mean, that have shown over the last year that, listen, they may have had a little bit of hard time initially, but they've really been resilient throughout the crisis. I mean, Grace Kennedy had a record year, right? Last D's on pace for a very good year. Last M is on pace for
who
also
is
for
last M? Sorry,
it is
last.
Lasco Distributors, Lasco Manufacturing, Lasco Food Drink. I don't really like the ice cream, but the ready made thing, depend on that. But then people buying their products, right? So those are some companies. Derman Trading, which recently had an APO, was also doing pretty well and is also expanding. Because remember, it's not just about the companies that are, it's about growth and then expand and you grow through expansion. So also look at even in COVID, some companies they're making acquisitions. Jamaica Producers just announced a big one. Um, so that's a sector that I see that's poised to the way. You have Lumber Depot, which honestly was I never looked at it much, but you can't ignore it because the price of lumber has gone up significantly. But guess what? Construction was one of the only sectors that reported growth in the last quarter. Who supplies the construction sector? It's not hard to pick
Cement.
some names, right? Cement company, right? Lumber Depot, um, Fast Rich, all of these companies are in good spots. Now, does this mean that you should just run out and buy them? Not necessarily. But remember, you're trying to have a start point. So these are names that at minimum you should be looking at. And then looking at now how are they performing or what is the outlook for these companies, right? Because the stock game is about future, right? It's about the future. Where you think a company is going to be in the future. You have a snapshot of how it performs now, but based on the trend now, you're kind of trying to predict how it's going to be in the future. Persons that refine that craft and they're able to do that are the ones that do well.
Yeah, yeah. And and again, guys, we see more people coming on. Thank you, because I see questions coming that we would have dealt with already. So guys, remember we're recording this. So check the recording. It's gonna be up on our YouTube channel and even on our Facebook page, I believe. When this is all over. So whatever, you're not hearing, because we want to get in questions, but we can't repeat because we need to get to more. But check out the replay, guys. You're gonna get some awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I'm glad you raised it. You raised the point, Greg, because we're gonna go back to some of the
Mhm.
industries you mentioned. But somebody had a
Yeah,
question here because you said, certain industries should be doing have good prospects from the standpoint of manufacturing and
yeah,
distribution, because we're in lockdown, as you say. What is selling right now? The Lasco distributors, the Lasco,
yeah.
the Grace
These
Kennedy.
names, right? These names are not. I'm not saying there are other stocks that are in the space
Right,
that
right,
are contributing, right? And so I'm not
right.
trying to say that
No,
okay, necessarily one is better than the other, but
correct.
in terms of the stocks that have actually shown to be a bit more resilient than other companies, that sector on a whole should be considered. So
Right.
there are the sectors of the world as well that has
Separate.
also had another record here. But it's more
Mm-hmm.
than just looking at okay, the company is doing good. You have to look at the valuation because maybe the future benefit is already priced into the stock. If that is the case, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're better looking at something else. So that's why
Right.
analysis comes in, and it's not that I have the time to go into the intricacies of how you determine that. I wish I did,
We need a
but
part B,
that is
right?
a start.
We need a part two episode for this thing. Because Greg, because what I was really, the point that I was getting to, yes. So you mentioned a particular industry like manufacturing and distribution, which, as you said, there are so many players in this space. So we may have given examples of Grace Kennedy and Lasco, but they're just two. There are others you would have mentioned separate. Somebody here was saying Wysinco. And then the thing is, some
Yeah,
people are like, well, if they're in an industry that is supposedly doing well, and sometimes you look at their P&L and it's been
right.
looking good, but then the price still not shocking. It's like,
And
what's going
you know,
on? I mean, why
that
does
is
that happen? Why does that happen? I
well,
mean, what's the reasoning?
that's a function of the market. And the truth is there are companies that despite the performance, sometimes a company can do very well and the stock price don't move, right? There's some companies that may do mediocre, but maybe depending on what the sentiment is, the stock price might shot. So so that is a part of playing the game, but over time, right? Stock prices tend to be a true reflection of how the company is doing. So I mean, we think is, for instance, I think it's at about $15, $16 a share. So it's probably low right now, but we think it came public at what, $7? So so
Mhm.
it's still low from that perspective.
Yeah.
It could also be a situation where the market is just lagging because there's a lot of things that are happening now that maybe persons are really just not active in the market. And by that I
Mhm.
mean, so last week when I looked at the trade report, I think for the week the market traded $300 million, right? Pre-COVID, on a weekly basis, the market would be doing maybe 1.2, 1.3 billion. So that is telling there's really just not a lot of participation in the market right now, which could be a reason why the price is low. Now, that could be because COVID and lockdown, people tired and then
A
just
lot
they're
of
just
people don't have the
yeah,
money. I mean, so a
they
lot
don't
of
have the
job
money.
losses. Hmm.
Institutional investors are looking at other things, so they're not in the market. So there could just be, the same COVID fatigue. It could be playing out on the market, but that's not gonna be the case forever, right? At some
Hmm.
point, the market is gonna return back to some level of normalcy, and provided a company does well or positions itself to do well when recovery happens, then it should manifest in the stock price. It's not a guarantee, but investing in the market, you have to be willing to take the hills and the valleys, right? There's not it's not a upward trudge all the time. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're going to have to go down. I go back to my experience. There was a period when I started investing, the market just went so, and it remained like that for like 7 years. So
Years.
so it's not until maybe 2015 when the market starts to pick back up, you see value. And had you held out for the period, then I mean you'd be better now. But as long as you're making investments along the way, you're still in a positive position. So
Yeah.
because the stock price is low now, I mean, yeah, you may have to just kind of ride it out. If you see something in the company that is changing that's negative, then that's a different story, right? If you see
Hmm.
negative developments, then you have to make a decision, boy, maybe it's time to cut. So not everything is a
Hmm.
buy and a hold. That's why it goes back to what I was saying. You have to educate yourself so you can see these things happening because they're signs. It's not a crystal ball. They're always signs, but the only way you're going to pick up signs is if
Hmm.
you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're looking for, then maybe you need to take a more passive approach.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Greg. And I'm loving Charmaine. To her credit, Charmaine says, yes, she bought with Cinco at its IPO. When did we Cinco IPO?
Boy, a couple
That is,
years now,
yeah, a
gotta feed
couple of
them
years
embarrassed,
now.
but
But it's all good. Don't worry. Me not remember either. And I bought into it. I bought
yeah,
into it when
yeah,
IPO as
and,
well. But you
and
know
I
what?
mean,
And you say it's now what at what? $15 you say
it
or
was
something
like
like that?
$15 or $16.
Right. So in
Yeah,
about 3 years
so
or so, she's made about 100% on her
yeah,
money.
way better than having your money on deposit or sitting in a savings
Yeah.
account or a
Yeah. So
repo.
so Charmaine admitted she's just a little greedy. We love you,
Oh, and,
Charmaine.
and,
We love
and she's
you.
gotten dividends, and she's gotten dividends because we think of pays dividends.
They
So,
do.
is
I
it
do
that
get my
bad?
check. Yeah,
Which is
man,
why it's
Charmaine.
important. The
Charmaine. Yeah,
market
man,
is low, but
Charmaine.
it's still, yeah, the market is down, but you still get a dividend.
Yeah,
Some people don't get
twenty
nothing.
eighteen. Ryan said it was December 2018 for Wisynco. So yeah,
Right.
so
Thank you,
yeah,
Ryan.
man.
Thank you,
Thank you, Ryan. Love that
Ryan.
one. Yes, Charmaine, we love you, girl. We love you. A little greed is not too bad. Just how we manage it and make sure we're not in over our heads. Um, not other great questions coming in, Greg. And again, guys,
Mhm.
if you have a specific question, again, we've covered a lot, so go back and watch the replay. I won't really bring up back questions we've raised already, but if you have a specific JMMB question or concern or feedback regarding your account with JMMB, you want to open an account, you want to open an Emma on top of the other account that you have, please
Yeah.
DM us, guys, and we will DM us. Don't put your information in the comments, please. Don't put your information in the comments
Yes, yes,
on the public
yes.
interweb. Please DM us, okay? DM us and we will have somebody contact you to address your concern and your question, your specific concern. A great question here from Tarek.
Yes.
What is a bull market versus a bear market? I think that's a great question,
Yeah,
Greg.
a very good question. So a bullish market is really a market where you have more buyers than sellers. So it's bullish. The bulls are the buyers, the bears are the sellers. So when you see a market that is aggressively moving up and there's constant buying pressure, what it means is that there are more bulls than bears. So it's a bullish market. The converse is bearish market, right? A bearish market is when you have way more sellers than buyers. So the bears tend to, overpower the bulls, and the market tends to, or the prices tend to fall. So it's a constant battle between the bulls and the bears that you see playing out every day. Some day the market is up, it's more bullish. Some day the market is down. Although I tend to look at it more over a period of time. So, if I see, so for me, even though we have had COVID last year, which led to a decline over the last, say, 6 years or so, the Jamaica Stock Exchange the market has been bullish, right? We have seen prices rise. We've seen persons coming into the market and interested in buying. So despite COVID, which I guess you could say it was a bearish year because it fell, you had more selling and buying. The overall trend has been bullish for the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I think the general takeaway, guys, is that everything is in cycles. I mean, we never
Yes.
know how long a cycle will last. But it's not like you buy in the bear and sell in the bull always. I mean, you I think that's the question, because some people think, well, now is the time, and it's COVID time and it's bearish, so let's go now. Is that what you would say, Greg? What would
Well,
you say to that
you know,
question?
all right. So I think Warren Buffett has a saying, he sells when everybody is greedy and he buys when everybody is fearful. So what that means, is typically if the market is selling off and there's no justifiable reason, or not necessarily justifiable, but if you know what you're buying is a good long-term play and you can get it cheap, hey, it's like free money,
Yeah.
right? When the cycle is different, when everybody is getting a little bit excited and the prices are being pushed beyond a point of reason and you're making significant profits, then maybe that's a time to sell. There's a saying I learned very early in trading. You never ever get poor taking profits. So in the same way, put in the work to buy a stock is the same way you have to know, all right, I have made my money. Is either going to come out and go into something else, or try and redeploy the money elsewhere. So it's not just about buying or how to buy. You have to know how to sell too. That way you maximize your experience of making money in the stock market.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Greg. A great question. Britannia was asking, what is an IPO?
Good question. All right. So an IPO is an initial public offering. So when a company wants to raise capital, they will issue their shares on the market through an IPO. So the most recent one would have been Future Energy Source Company, or FESCO, right? This is a company that was privately held among a group of shareholders that decided, hey, I want to take my business to the next level. So I'm going to raise some money. In this case, the principals also sold some shares. So it was also an avenue for them to get some funds, some liquidity. But the company would have raised some new money from the market, and they use this money to do whatever expansions that they see necessary to grow. Because remember, it's all about growth, right? Publicly listed companies should be obsessed with growth. If they're not obsessed with growth, then that's a red flag. So an IPO is the process of getting those shares listed on the market.
Right. And an APO, because we've heard a lot about APO. What is an
Yes.
APO?
So our APO is an additional public offering. So APOs are used by companies that are already on the market that they want to raise additional capital. So they will issue shares to the public. So if you think of it, JMB had an APO. Derrimon Trading just recently had an APO, and this is where they're inviting the public to say, listen, I have some plans for growth. I need money to fund this growth. So I'm offering you shares. Remember, when by buying shares, you're getting a benefit. You know, if this company grows, your share price grows, you get dividend. So all of these things, it's a fair exchange. Well, if it's fairly priced, but so an APO is more for companies that are already listed on the market. An IPO is where companies want to be introduced or just listed on the market.
Love that. Thank you so much for that. And I'll big up Arvin, who is helping us out with some responses in the comments. Yeah, we're a family on this thing, right? People, we're helping each other out. We love it.
Yes,
Greg,
yes.
I don't even know who asked the question because it was earlier up in the live.
Mhm,
And of
mhm.
course, we were asking other questions at the time. But of
Yeah,
course, we've been talking about trading on the, JMB as a broker, registered with the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So you can
right.
trade stocks that are listed on the local exchange. But suppose
Hmm.
I want to buy stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. How can
Yes.
I do that? I mean, what does JMB provide now, or what do we plan to provide, if you can say? And if since we don't provide it now, how can one go about doing that? Which is a whole other discussion,
All
perhaps.
right.
But
So to trade on the U.S. stock market, you need to have an account with a international broker that provides you access to that, right? And we do have a product out of our Trinidad office that can access. I think it's called JMB International Access. And I know that at some point it should be reaching our shores. I can't say exactly when, but we do take note of persons that want to trade on the US markets. And if you do want to do that, if you do want to take that step, I mean, you can get in touch with us and we can put you in touch with the persons who can allow you to facilitate that.
yes, yes, love that. So the short answer is we do have the facility in our Trinidad office, but if you really, really want to take that on your own, to do that on your own, because now you're going in foreign, so you're going to take the flight on
Yes.
your own. If you reach out to us and raise your hand, send us a DM. We'll
Yeah,
try and
it,
see how
it,
we
it
can
would
connect
still,
you.
for now, it would still be through the Trinidad
Yeah,
office. But I mean, this is something that can be facilitated online.
yeah,
So
all
it
online.
it can be done online. So we can make arrangements if needed. But that hopefully we'll have more to give on that in the near term.
Right, right. Thanks for Ryan. Thank you for that question.
Mhm.
Awesome. And yes, Antoinette was also asking the same question.
Right.
Um, how do you, Kevon, asking a question. How does one identify stocks that pay dividends? Because we speak about stocks. Not
Okay.
all stocks pay
Okay.
dividends. Yeah.
Yeah, so the one of the easiest ways, I think the Jamaica Stock Exchange on their website, they have a listing of the stocks that actually pay dividends. Your broker can also supply you with that. You can ask them, look, can I have the latest Jamaica Stock Exchange dividend listing? And that will give you a comprehensive list of all the stocks that have declared dividend um, over, I think, a year or so. So, you can get that information. If you are comfortable on the web, you can go on the Jamaica Stock Exchange website. They do have, I think, a corporate action page. So you can look at and see who has declared dividends and how much dividends they've paid. And that's a good start, right? That's a very good start. Sometimes your brokers may also have a summary report that they can give to you, but I think the Jamaica Stock Exchange is probably the best immediate resource for you to get that information.
Yes, and thanks, Tony. Check the corporate action. I'm assuming the corporate action
Right.
section, or the stock
Right.
exchange website. The stock exchange website is awesome, people. I mean, once companies make disclosures to the stock exchange about any happenings, changes in the company, they put it on the website like before you sneeze. It's a
Right. So,
great place.
so if there are any company that declares a dividend, it's also in the news section too. So if you check that on a daily basis, you will say, okay, this company has declared a dividend. And over time, what you'll learn is you'll kind of get a feel, because over time, as you get better and you get the knowledge and you turn an expert, you will know which companies tend to pay better dividends than others.
Yes, yes. Good stuff. Akeelia, a little further up, Akeelia from YouTube. Hey, Akeelia. She's asking a question about index funds or ETFs. I guess we
Good
could say,
question.
what are those? Not everybody knows what that is. And if
All right.
we offer them. Yeah.
Okay, so index funds. So pretty much an index fund is a product that, if you don't want to buy an individual company, an index fund consists of a broad-based or a number of different companies that represent the respective index that you're trying to invest in. So let's say you wanted to invest in the Jamaica Stock Exchange index. You would have a fund that has all of the stocks on that index. That's just an example. An ETF is similar. It's a fund. Instead of buying into individual companies, let's say I said manufacturing and distribution. You can have a manufacturing and distribution ETF that has maybe all of the manufacturing companies in it. You can buy that ETF as opposed to buying an individual company. We don't really have index funds, but we do have listed companies or listed equity funds. The Sagicor Select Index mirrors the financial index, which is all of the financial companies listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. You also have the Select Manufacturing Index as well, that has all of the manufacturing companies in that fund. And that's that. So if you don't want to buy, broilers and grays, and you don't want to, there is a listed equity fund. Now, that fund may or may not reflect the full market sentiment, but it's one way in which you can actually buy into a diversified fund that has exposure to a lot of different stocks within a sector.
Love that. And I mean, I love that you raised that, Greg, because those indices.
Mhm. Indices.
Those
Yes, yes.
indices, not indexes. You see how my mother going beat me, granny going beat me. Indices are really great for people who, I really don't want to buy NCB and then I go and buy some Scotia, buy JMB. If I just want to buy into the financial index to capture all of the financial stocks, and I can do that, or I want to capture the manufacturing stuff. So
Right.
that's an option for people who want to do that instead of the 1 1 1 1 1 1. I mean
Right.
that's a viable option. So that's a great question. Again, guys, just to remind you, we are recording this. So I see questions coming that we would have covered about how to get started. How do I make money investing in stocks? We do that already. So you can go back and watch the recording on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. No, man, guys, it's an hour and a half. We're doing this thing for so enough things we're covering. So we don't want you to miss it. So watch the replay. And guys, we put a link in the comments, and we should be getting it into the description. I'm just getting my admin team to confirm, but it's in the comments of Facebook or YouTube. How you can open an account. And no, you don't need to come into a branch. Somebody said it here. Who tell you say you have to come into a branch, Junior? No.
And do
If
it
you are
online.
a JMB client, you can fill out the form. Then
Email.
we put the link, fill out the forms. It can be email. We have nice fillable PDFs. You fill it out, send it in, da. Yeah, we're gonna update the description box with the link after the live is over. My production team is confirming. So you can fill it out, email it, especially you're a JMB client already. It shouldn't be that hard. No, this is COVID time. We don't want you to come into the branch if you don't have to. We want to keep safe. Okay. So don't worry. We got you. We got you. All right. Love it, guys. This is awesome. This is awesome. Stock split. What is a stock
Right.
split, Greg? I love this question, KT, coming from YouTube.
All right. So this is, I wrote something on this in the paper a few years ago, right? And it's still, sometimes it's not the easiest thing to explain, so just follow me. Right? So when a company goes public, there's a certain amount of shares that they issue. So let's say they issue 1,000 shares at $100, right?
Yeah.
So if they want to say they want to know the shares are tightly held and the stock doesn't trade much, there is a belief that if you put more shares out there, it will improve the liquidity of the stock. So what you do, you take that 1,000 shares, and we're gonna do a 10-to-1 stock split, right? So you're going to split that 1,000 shares into 10,000 units. And then now you're going to divide that $100 price by 10. So instead of having
Mm.
1,000 shares at $100, you have 10,000 shares at $10.
All
So that's
right. Well,
that
good
is in its
maths, people,
purest form is
maths.
what it is. And companies do it because just as I said, like there's a there's a there's a feeling or theory that the market tends to gravitate towards companies with a low nominal price. And notice I say nominal price because a stock that trades at $10 can, based on their earnings, be 100 times more expensive than a stock that trades at $100, right? Which is why you have to now understand the concept of earnings per share, because a stock split does not impact the company on a fundamental basis. It doesn't mean that doing a stock split you're going to make more money. It doesn't necessarily mean that something fundamentally is going to shift in a company to a stock split. But what it does mean is that there are market implications when a stock has a lower nominal price. And based on what we've seen, typically once a stock split is announced, the market price goes up. Despite whether something good is happening fundamentally or not, the stock splits tend to have that impact. So I do think some companies, in an effort to increase the liquidity and improve the trading dynamics, which is what you'll be told, there is also that underlying reason that hey, you can boost evaluation by doing a stock split, but it doesn't always work. It's not a guarantee. It's more or less what we've observed from a market response. So increase the number of shares, cut the price, and you kind of do it to help improve the trading liquidity of the stock. Hope that
I see.
answers your question.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Kevon with another good question here. What is a
Mhm.
prospectus?
Okay, so a prospectus is the document that is published when you're doing an IPO or a secondary offer or APO. The prospectus lays out the legalities of the offer, what the offer is, what the offer is priced at, as well as who are the board, who is the board, who are the senior managers, what is the company doing, as well as management discussion and analysis, all the information necessary for you to make a decision as to whether you will invest or not. So it includes audited financial statements. So the investor can look at the prospectus and have a very clear idea. Okay, this is what the company does. This is who is in charge. This is what they expect for the future. This is what they're using the money for, and this is the historical performance. That's pretty much what a prospectus is. And
Yeah.
going back to what I said earlier, the more you know and you educate yourself in terms of reading and understanding the financial statements, you can make a more informed decision.
And that's the thing, guys. Read, read. Don't
Yeah,
oh, I
you
bought the
can
thing and
avoid.
I never read the prospectus. No.
Yeah,
Read
you
it.
can't you can't not read. You owe it to yourself. Look, it's your money. So if at the end of the day you don't want to be reckless with your money, so take that time and educate yourself.
Absolutely. I love this question from Charmaine. JMB, we're so committed to transparency. Greg, would you say JMB is probably the largest retail, what I like to call retail stockbroker in Jamaica? What would you say?
Well, certainly we have consistently ranked number one in the amount of trades that we do on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We've
Mm-hmm.
held that rank for at least the past 6 years. We're also very, very accommodative to our our lovely clients, right? And we try to make the process as painless and as simple as possible. So, I definitely think, while I don't have any hesitation in saying I think we're the number one retail broker in the market, right? And the numbers are there to show we have a significant amount of the number of trades that are conducted on the market, which is mainly
Mm-hmm.
retail.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Charmaine from Facebook, again, awesome question, because she's asking, what is JMB doing to try and educate and change the average Jamaican's perception that purchasing stock is a rich man thing. And, that's a great, because the thing is, again, that's really why JMB was founded, and we spoke earlier about different brokers having different starting amounts to open a brokerage account. Respectfully, every broker has the choice to do that. Our starting amount is probably the lowest
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right now on the market at 10,000 Jamaican officially. And I know people who have opened a brokerage account with even less than that at JMB.
Yes,
So
yes.
that is possible. We're not going to turn you away like that. And if that happens, you call me. But at the end of the day, and this is what we're doing. This is YouTube. This is Facebook. It's free. It's live. We're going to put it up. You get the replay. We are about standing for the greatness of every Jamaican who has a financial goal, Charmaine. And we're so appreciative of
Yes.
everybody here on this live.
Well,
So,
that's what I
yeah,
would say. I would answer a question to say what we're doing now is
yeah, yeah.
trying to provide information, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean there's a lot more that I think we have in store. Financial literacy is a very, very, very important thing. It's not just about stocks; it's about other investments as well, and how you can build wealth for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
certainly JMP tries to be a partner.
Mm-hmm.
Not only just pushing one product, because maybe there are other things that you might benefit from as well. So stocks are not just a rich man thing, are not anymore, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. It has liberalized significantly over recent years, and I see more young people getting involved in it. So this is the
Yeah.
kind of thing that we like to see, because the more persons that become involved in building wealth, investing in the stock market, it makes for a better stock market.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know the JSC would agree, because they too are doing educational drives. They want more Jamaicans to really become a part of investing in stocks, because everybody can do it. If it's for them and they choose to do it, there is a way, and it's always facilitated to
Yeah.
be so. It's
Mhm.
wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. We're acknowledging all the people just joining, and I know you're just joining because you're asking questions that we covered already. So again, this is being recorded, guys. You can catch it back right here on the YouTube channel or the JMB Facebook
Mhm.
account that you're watching this from. So please check it out, because we covered everything from what is a stock, what's happening now with the bearish and the bullish and the whatnot. So please go and check it out. There was somebody here, Ashley. Hey, Ashley, on YouTube, had a great question that I don't think we've covered entirely yet, because she asked about what equity funds are available for those who don't have the time to invest and monitor individual stocks. I know we spoke about investing in the
Mhm.
different types of
Right.
indices, not
Right.
indexes, but we have funds. Could you just explain what are those funds? You could define it for
Okay.
us, and what's
Well,
available for those types of investors.
all right. So, if you don't have the time to monitor, there are a number of unit trust products out there, mutual fund products that you can invest in. So JMMB, we have unit trusts such as the Income and Growth, and I think the Optimum Capital. Don't hold me to I think that's what the name of it is.
Yeah.
But these funds invest in equities. So, if you don't have the time to manage a portfolio yourself, you can buy into a portfolio that's already professionally managed by JMMB. And that way, when the market does well, you can benefit. You don't investing in stocks, individual stocks is not the only way for you to invest in the stock market. You can do it through a unit trust or a fund. So these products are readily available in the market. I mean, a lot of other brokers have offerings as well. So you can look, do your research, compare, see which one fits what you want. But certainly there are options available for you if you don't want to take on that individual investor or invest in individual stocks.
Right. And I think that's a great question, Ashley, because that's a legitimate route that people take. You know, they don't want
Yes.
to buy the stock individually, then don't have time to be what monitoring it, and they
Mhm.
really want to just benefit from put investing in a fund where the fund manager takes the money and in buys and sells different stocks.
Right,
Them know
right.
when to buy, when to
Yeah,
sell, and
we do
you
the
just
heavy lifting
benefit.
for you. We do
Yeah.
the heavy lifting for you. So that is an option for you as well.
Yes, absolutely. So great question. Thank you, Ashley. Now, Keith, no, you see, all my people, I love everybody who stumbled on this live because Keith now is asking the $1 million question. So, Keith, here, what you're going to do, you're going to follow JMB not only on Facebook, you have an Instagram account, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. Yes, put back up Keith's question. Does JMB have any plans to develop an online platform to purchase IPO? Can somebody else answer Keith in the comments, please? Because Uncle Keith, you're not following me on social media, man. Come on, me and you are brethren, man. Look how long that thing launched and it's the wickedest thing on the market. Yes, NCB, I said it. Our Moneyline IPO is wicked. It's fantabulous. We just upgrade the
Right,
Moneyline's
right.
trading features. We spoke about it earlier. Keith, watch the replay, baby. We are kicking. We are tell Keith people. Just tell him.
Yeah,
Tell him.
and
Tell him. Let us
money
bring him
line.
into the fold.
And the beauty of Moneyline is that, many times we're able to offer IPOs that we may not be selling agents for. So we still go the extra distance to provide that convenience to you. So Moneyline is not just for offers done by other brokers. We have done almost every IPO that's been out in recent times has been on Moneyline, whether JMB is a part of it or not, because we realize we want to give clients the convenience.
Yes. And in fairness, I think those companies recognize that if you have an IPO, you're not on money line, you're not saying anything. I'm kidding. I don't know if they think that, but I'm like, yes, if we are doing the number one volume at trades, come on, guys, we are on the thing, right?
Well,
Yes, yes.
it helps. It helps. I haven't gotten any resistance yet.
Right. And I mean, Greg is being conservative. I'm the head of
Yes,
marketing, so I will be zealous. Okay. We're paying the bills tonight, right? Yes,
yes.
Ryan. JMB are the boss. Yes. Thank you, Ryan, from Facebook. We got it. We got it. Wonderful. So,
Mhm.
so I see a couple of questions on Bitcoin. Just saying, guys, we have a live coming up for Bitcoin because there's another question, guys, about when is the next episode. So JMB Goal Getter Live, we've been doing this now, start to finish, from about March last year. We
Mhm.
took a break in December. We're back tonight, first episode. We have some hot, sweet, sexy episodes coming up, talking
Yeah.
about a variety of topics, people, in the same format where we're taking your questions. We have one coming up on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because a lot of questions about that. So, guys, how you gonna find out when the next one is? Follow us on social media, JMB Group Jamaica. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
I feel left out now with all that big up and what?
You're just no, well, Greg, you're part of the family, so you're
Okay,
gonna
okay.
you want to see the JMB on the shirt, then man, you have the same JMB. You're good.
All
So
right,
yes,
all right.
Craig is saying, hurry, hurry. Yes, Craig, we know, we know, we know. It's sooner than you think. I won't give you the date, but you need to follow us, guys. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as my mother called it, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Please check us out, follow us, and you will know when the episodes are coming. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the notification bell, you will get a notice when the lives are coming up, and you'll see it coming up in your timeline. So, guys, keep close and tell your friend them because this is it. We're not talking heads right here, guys. It's interactive. We're taking the questions. We love it. Roxanne, yes, her wealth. I'm sorry, Roxanne. We're not dealing with her wealth tonight. But again, stay tuned. If you want somebody to contact you about that, please DM us. Love it, love it. Thank you so much. We just want to keep it around stocks tonight because if we widen the base, guys, all midnight we're still here. You know how
Yeah.
it go. We have to keep it tight.
We don't start. We don't
Um,
dig in. We don't dig in yet.
Listen to me now. We could be, as Greg said, we could be here all night. So,
Yes.
guys, we are just about at time. I think it's really, really been an awesome session. As I said, guys, when we started out this conversation, it was dealing with stocks and we wanted to break it all the way down. And we not only wanted to just have a presentation, that's really not, it's about a Q&A style, which is, yeah, we started off with some questions we knew people would have had, but we also open up the floor and you guys have been awesome in the comments. Yes, Odian, we love you too. Love to see you guys. We got a great international and local contingent from right across the island, and we hope you found this valuable. As Greg said, we just scratched the
Yeah.
surface because we could be here all night talking about stock. So we're gonna have to have Greg come back on a future episode sometime in the future once we give him a chance to
Yeah.
breathe. And yes, Greg, up, up, up for
Okay.
Greg.
Okay.
Love Greg. See, you're getting your big up, Greg. Them love you, them love you. Guys, could
I
be,
am here to serve, right? I am here to
yeah, man.
serve. And my what I want to see is everybody gets up on their financial literacy, so everybody can make money. Look, the pie is there for everybody, but you have to equip yourself, right?
Yes.
So the more you know, knowledge is key.
Yes.
Get that knowledge and don't be afraid to take that first step, right? Don't be afraid to take that first step. Start, just start.
Just start. You don't have to have a ton of money to start with JMMB as your broker. And yes, you can do it once you fill out the forms, provide the supporting documentation that's notarized, email it in, it will start the process because it's about really making it accessible
Yes.
and easy. Guys, can we big up Greg in the comments? Can we have our virtual round of applause for Greg in the comments? Greg has been
Yes.
awesome. David said, "Go put on your glasses."
I
Greg,
know I wear glasses, boy. I've been misbehaving. I haven't worn my glasses, so I don't even know where they are. But I
oh
can see
boy,
fine. I can see, so I'm good.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there was a question here. I just wanted to take it quick. Last question from iBrook on YouTube. What causes
Mhm.
internal transactions to delay for days? Do you know what that means, Greg? I don't know if I'm understanding the
But
question.
I think that's more a money line related question. Maybe
Oh,
they
okay.
do transactions and it's delayed. But
Oh,
money
okay.
line
That's
was just
it.
upgraded, so it should be
Yeah,
real time now. So if you try it now and you have
yeah,
a delay, just let
yeah.
us know. But
And again,
transfers
guys.
between investments and bank, you should see it real time. So that was updated recently.
Yes, yes. And guys, again, if you have specific questions regarding your account, your particular portfolio, please DM us your contact information. Don't put it in the comments. Um, DM
Yeah,
us, just DM, and then we'll try and get somebody to contact you next business day. But guys, yes, bigging up Greg to the world. Great job, Greg. Very informative. See, Greg, we love you, we love you. Um,
yes,
you know,
I love everybody too. Everybody can win,
exactly.
right? Everybody
And
can win.
Junior, we appreciate you. Junior said one thing I like with JMMB is monthly interest on his money. This is not stocks though, on his account, and no fees on that account. Thank you, Junior. We love you too. Hi, Keisha. What's going on? Yes, we love Greg. Oh, Keisha, I need to call you. By the way, actually, I thought of you yesterday. I need to reach out to you. So, guys. Thank you so much for joining. We love our audience. Big up to Greg. I gotta acknowledge my marketing team in the back. Jessica, our admin, who is working hard, highlighting all the comments and making sure the system running good. Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Steph. Thanks to the marketing team for supporting. This has been an awesome session. So we're gonna be back next week. Watch out, follow us on social media to know the day and the time and the topic and the guest because same format. We're taking the questions, we're doing it interactive style, talking about the topics you need to know to reach your financial goals, get more educated about things financial because as Greg said, everybody can do
Yeah.
it and we're here standing for everybody. So we're here to do it for you. And it's curfew, and just Wholeness said no, we're still curfewing, only do have nowhere to go. So just stay right here, log on, tell your friends, family, and we'll be here for you. Thank you, Donut, my hair. Thank you. This is hair salon, personal hair salon, lockdown hairdo. Thank you so much, everybody. Have an awesome evening. Rest of the night. Thanks, Greg. Big up to the family. Thanks to wifey for keeping the children under wraps while you were on this thing.
Yeah, but it's my shift now, so no
Ooh.
rest.
Yes, she's like, okay, your turn. Here you go. Take the baby. But awesome, awesome. What a blessing. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of the evening. On behalf of Team JMMB, peace out. Catch you on the replay. Catch you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.